Hello and welcome to the Booksplosion live show for a magic steeped in poison by Judy Lynn. My name's Christine.
I'm Kat.
I'm Jesse.
And we're Booksplosion. We're an online book club that reads a book together with y'all every month, and then we chat about it here, all our thoughts and feels. So, a magic steeped in poison.
Well, before we do that, should we announce?
Yes. We should announce our October book of the month, which is Defend the Dawn!
Defend the Dawn!
By BRIGID KEMMERER. We're all very excited. This month we're working with Bloomsbury, and we love everything BRIGID KEMMERER has written. We loved the first one, Defy the Night. We read it last year, so we're very excited. I'm pumped. The audiobooks are fantastic, so feel free to grab that audiobook and listen to it when you're doing your chores this week.
Yeah, I'm very hyped for this. Because we read the first book last year and it was like an all-time favorite for all of us.
What happened?
Oh no.
I got a terror.
Poor dust jacket.
I'm sad. Okay, sorry.
But our live show is going to be November 5th. Saturday, November 5th. This book came out at the end of September, so it's a pretty recent release. But yeah, you have a little less than a month to read this, so you can join our discussion for it.
Yeah.
And then
the next month, which is November, we're going to be reading The First to Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I'm so excited. These are
another one that we're all very excited for because we read They Both Die at the End.
We are hipster.
A long time ago. We were hipster readers before it was popular.
2016, baby.
So, we've been fans of Adam Silvera since before he debuted because, we met him at Book Expo that year when he was debuting. But yeah, we're all very excited for this. It will be the November book of the month. We don't have a live show date for that sorted yet, but follow our Booksplosion social media at Booksplosion on Twitter and Instagram. Our social media manager, Jordan, posts lovely pictures of her book.
Gorgeous pictures.
Beautiful pictures. And keeps up to date with when our live show is.
Yeah.
And what our next book is going to be. So, yeah.
You can't miss it because there's 4 posts of the book. So it's beautiful. All right. Magic steeped in poison. Who's going to give us a synopsis?
I can take a whack at it, I guess. I never do.
Take a crack at it, Jesse.
So basically, in this world, we have a tea-based magic system, which is really cool. And we follow our main character, Ning, who accidentally poisoned and killed her mom with tea and then poisoned her sister. And her sister's nearly dying, essentially. And she hears of this competition that's happening at the kingdom. And the winner of the competition receives a favor from the princess. And so she's like, oh, maybe if I win the competition, I can get this favor from the princess to save my sister. And that's kind of the takeoff of the story, I guess. Is that a good explanation, or is there more that you guys can add to it? Yeah.
Yes. So that's what it's about. And I think we're gonna jump right into our overall thoughts here. Who wants to kick us off?
I'll go.
All right, Kat.
So I've been interested in this book since the first time I saw the beautiful cover, because honestly, this cover is gorgeous. And also the premise of it, the magic system that's based in brewing tea, and you brew tea and you can infuse certain feelings and abilities and put other additives in it. You can give people strength. You can use it as a lie detector thing to see if they're telling the truth. You can poison people and cure people. It's a very cool magic system. And in reading it, that was my favorite part of the story, was the magic system and also the competition plot of all these tea brewer magicians competing to become the new Shenong is what they're called, of the kingdom, who's there's kind of two branches of like healing. There's physicians, and then there's Shenong, who use like the magic way of healing things.
They say
And
differently in the audiobook.
how is it pronounced?
I can't
Shing
even.
Shi? Shing
Yeah, it's something like what
Shing
Jesse just said.
Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi. Yeah, Shang-Chi. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I listened to it all day today and I can't.
I literally finished it like 10 minutes ago. Shang-Chi.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's hard to say, I feel like. Shang-Chi?
It doesn't.
Like that? Yeah. Okay. You get it.
Well, that was the most interesting part to me, was the magic system and the competition to find out like who is the best of all the apprentices and who's gonna like ascend and be the official practitioner for the kingdom, and the princess who is going to one day become queen. There were some parts of the plot though that like didn't make sense to me. Like I had a lot of questions, and I feel like there was a lot introduced in the beginning that not in like a info dumpy or world building sort of way. Like I wasn't confused about it, but there was just like a lot of plot points introduced very quickly, and I didn't understand like the relevance and how they all really connected to each other. And then like some of the pacing was a little bit off, and like some of the plot points as they went along just felt, I don't know. I'll talk about this more when we get into spoilers, and I can like give more examples. But it just felt like weirdly paced, and it just, I have a lot of questions of things that it's not that they didn't make sense. It's more that I just don't understand like the logic behind some decisions for the characters.
Gotcha.
But yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, not to say that it wasn't my cup of tea, but it wasn't particularly my cup of tea. In terms of like the way the story is told, you don't learn much about the characters. I felt like I didn't know anyone, which makes it hard to invest in the story, at least for me. And I think all of us kind of felt a little disconnected from the story. But yeah, I agree with Kat about the pacing too. Like we would just jump through a lot of things that were happening at once, and then we'd stop, and then we'd just be somewhere else. And it didn't, like, again, it didn't feel like a logical progression a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree with a lot of what Kat said about like just all these questions I had about things. And I don't know, I just kept thinking we were going somewhere with the character, and then it wouldn't go anywhere near there. So then I'd be like, why did that happen? What was the point of that setup? But yeah, my favorite part of it was like the tea stuff, which was fascinating, how that worked. Like my favorite moments were when she was with Bo, who is the love interest. Surprise, surprise, those were my favorite parts to read.
Really? They weren't mine.
They weren't mine either.
Romance, but
I was just like, I could pay attention and like feel like I was rooting for something.
I mean, I can kind of see that, but the romance just, I didn't feel like it was grounded in anything. Like it wasn't.
I felt like we missed a few chapters. That's what I felt. I was like, where? Huh? You guys?
Oh no, yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm just saying it was my favorite part
one
of
thing
the
to like.
part.
Gotcha,
Yeah. Because I kept being like, well, at least I know what's going on. Because there were a lot of times I just felt like I didn't exactly know what was going on, because it didn't feel grounded enough for me to like feel like I know the world.
For me, it was the opposite. I was just like, because it felt so forced, in my opinion. Like their relationship didn't have much of a basis, and like every time they like went off and had little adventures, I was just like, this feels so like randomly inserted amongst everything else.
A different book almost sometimes.
Yeah.
Joseph?
So this was one of my most anticipated releases of the year, and I was very, very sad because I left it feeling pretty dissatisfied. I feel like for me, it was one of those situations where like I loved the concept, and there were aspects of like the world that I did like the tea and like, you know, how that came into play. Like I loved that aspect, but like I just felt like everything else kind of fell apart. Like there were aspects that I liked. Like I did like our main character Ning, but I didn't really feel attached to anybody else, like any of the side characters that we met or anything. Like we were talking a little bit before, and I was saying how like a lot of the characters felt very surface level. Like you're just like starting to get to know them, but you're not really digging deep with them. And I feel like had the characters been a little bit better, maybe I would have like enjoyed it a lot more. Um, and then there were also just a lot of things that like go down in the plot that just felt very convenient to like further things, and that like really bothered me because it was just like, oh, like I don't know, my friend dropped out of the competition, like I'm gonna like move I don't know, just like different things that were just like really like, huh, like why? But
Yeah,
I
a lot of
really
stuff
enjoyed
just happened.
yeah. I really actually enjoyed like the writing style of the story. Like that was one thing that was like I was like really enjoying, and I would love to like read more from this author. I don't know if I'll continue on with this series in particular, but I would like to see like more from them in the future. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. Like, I liked the writing for the most part. It was just like the
Structure.
story wise, it didn't feel the story, but like plot wise, it didn't feel like events building and like one event leading to another.
Mm,
It felt more like almost episodic of
mhm.
just like random things happening
Yeah,
that didn't have like a strong through line.
yeah.
Yeah.
Aside from like the competition element, which like gave it some kind of arc and structure, but everything else that was happening around that felt kind of random, like not very cohesive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the competition, though, at times it was just like wishy-washy about how it was being run in my head. Like I didn't feel the structure of it, like I wanted to. Like I didn't get excited for the next event because I'd be like, "Whoa, this? What do you mean she's getting help for this event?" I didn't really understand how everything was working. Like she said that like all the wealthy people were getting help, but I didn't like feel that happening. Like I just felt her say it instead of like seeing it go down. And I don't know, again, I kept being like, why do I not know what's happening here? Like, or why did I not feel like this was happening or see it coming or anything like that?
And like not to compare this book to like the Hunger Games, but like I'm just thinking back on the Hunger Games and like why that works for me is because we had so much time before the actual competition where we get to know Katniss and like get to know her situation. Whereas this, like we have like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 chapters before we're like flung into the competition. And I just felt like we didn't have enough time to like really feel for our main character in the situation that she's in and like get to know like the people in her life and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that was another thing that I felt like the first few chapters were so overloaded with
yeah.
information, not in an
Yeah.
info dumpy way, but just like there's so much going on. Because like we
Right.
start with Ning, who she is grieving and feeling guilt over what happened with her mom, and she has a dying sister. Like, great, she has a goal, she needs to cure her sister. There's this competition in the kingdom that she's going to go to. Like, she has a plan and she has a mission. But then there's all these drops of other things of like, oh, there's a banished prince and there's a shadow who she for some reason chases after the shadow in the middle of the night when like she should be trying not to die in order to get to the kingdom and save her sister. Happens in like chapter 4, so like we're not even in spoiler territory yet. It's just like so much stuff happened in the beginning that didn't feel at all connected, and like it does get a little more connected later on, but it still felt like way too early to introduce those things when we could have been getting to know Ning better rather than these vague threats of like, don't let the banished prince get you in the dark, and like, ooh, the shadow is maybe responsible for the poisonings, or maybe the governor is, and like the mystery of that. But we didn't like, there was no cohesion to like these things all being thrown at us.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like there was too many things going on. It needed to be like streamlined and stripped down to like the core story. And there's just like stories all over the place that we never really fully got fleshed out. Yeah. Well, those are our overall non-spoilery thoughts. We'd love to hear yours. And we're gonna dive into spoilery thoughts.
Spoiler time.
Spoilery thoughts. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you can come back after you've read it, or if you don't mind being spoiled, just chill with us. We're gonna chat through this. If there's anything in particular you'd like us to discuss, just like throw it in the chat. We're here. All right. So I know a lot of like we're talking a lot about the things that we didn't love so much, because I think it's safe to say like this wasn't our favorite book of the year. So what part of it, like, is there a certain scene that stands out to y'all that you actually did feel invested in, that you enjoyed?
Oh, I have mine. The scenes with the princess and her bodyguard and finding out that the bodyguard was the shadow, and when she was injured and like Ning was kind of brought in and got to like get to know the princess a little bit better and got to kind of be brought into that inner circle, that's where things like started getting interesting for me. Like I was so much more invested in Ning's relationship with the princess, which is not a romantic thing at all, as opposed to the romance with Bo Kong. Like, because I don't know, it was so much more interesting to see the story of this girl who is in love with her bodyguard and who is like struggling with the politics, and like people are trying to overthrow her, and she's only 19 and now she's ascending to the throne, and like there's traitors in her midst. Like that was so much more interesting to me. So that whole sequence where like she was discovering, where Ning was discovering that and saving Rui, the bodyguard. That was probably my favorite part, aside from the magic system and the competition scenes, because I really liked that.
Do you almost feel like the story would have worked better told from the princess's point of view? Or like
maybe not exclusively, but like if we had a dual point.
If we had a dual point of view, because that's also where I felt more invested. Like my favorite part was when her name is Ree, when she like rescued her from the dungeons, and then like they went to the princess's rooms, and like she needed to save Ree because she had too much magic in her. Like that scene was really engaging. And that was like right at the very end.
Yeah, I mean the whole ending sequence where like they escape together and like they're kind of going on the run. I really enjoyed that. Like those felt much more like sequential and like events building and leading to other events. But also in the ending was one of my least favorite parts, which is because it was so circumstantial and so happenstance. And it's this is like majorly spoilery.
The sister finding the thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Or no, not the sister finding the thing necessarily. Because like that makes sense. I'll rant about the beginning part in a moment here. But the fact that the like secret ingredient to the cure was the black pearl dust that is like from that region, from the banished prince's region, and the way that Ning finds out about that is like someone drops a vial and it like rolls across the ground to her feet and she picks it up, and like that's how she gets the cure for her sister. Was like so happenstance, and like she so could have like easily not gotten that. And I just wish it had been more intentional, or more of something she was working for, like something she figured out and then she had to do some kind of heist to like get the item, rather than it just like literally falling at her feet.
Well, did I misunderstand that like her sister sent her a code like in the knitting that told her what the antidote was?
She was working on the antidote and sent some clues and like some ingredients, but the missing secret ingredient was the pearl dust that we happened to find.
Yeah.
Like we never saw the sister, or from her point of view, so that also like kind of annoyed me that like she had just figured out these ingredients and sent her this thing. We didn't even know that she really knew a lot about figuring stuff out like that.
Well, we know that she's her mother's actual apprentice,
right?
So we must know that.
Maybe I forgot about that. But still,
that's like the whole.
See from her point of view. I just feel like that's so important, and like just to like see on the outskirts
just
of
a little bit better than
I mean, here's the thing that gave me the most questions is it's a two-parter. It's one, why does Ning believe she can win this competition? Like, I know she thinks it's like her only solution is to like win the favor from the princess, but she's untrained and she's going up against people who have like 10 plus years of experience and training on her. Like, what makes her think she could win? Like, I feel like it would make much more sense if she was like, here's the other thing that I had issue with. Like, why does she never think that they need one of the tea brewers to find the cure. Like, she's so determined on, like, I need to get the best physician. And it's like, your dad's a physician. He's probably doing his best to try to save his daughter. Like, he's a good physician. He's trying to save his daughter. Like, maybe another physician will help. But we have these two branches of healing, and one is like the medical physician and one is the magic tea brewer. Like, why is she so determined that a physician is the one with the cure when, like, obviously a brewer is going to be the one with the cure?
Yeah.
And so this is how I thought that it would make so much more sense if she went to the competition not to win, because why would she believe she could win and make this great state, but to find someone who could cure her, to like scope out like who's the best and figure out they can help her. And like, we can still end up with a lot of the same plot points. Like, she can come to realize that like no one is going to help her, and so like she has to research or discover on her own, because like she sees that like all of the ones who are like the best and most promising are all like rich assholes who like aren't gonna help her because they don't care. So like, we could have had like so many of the same revelations, but like, just to get her there, I don't understand what makes her think she can win this competition.
She has the magic.
She does. She has a natural talent for it, but still, like, these people have so many more years of experience on her, and like, she's not even supposed to be there. Like, I just don't get why that was her plan and not going to the kingdom to research a cure on her own, or to find who's responsible for the poisonings and see if they're working on an antidote or something. Because like, and the most frustrating part is like, because she found that pearl dust, and like that was the key to the cure. So like, she did end up curing her sister, but it was nothing from what she did. Like, it was just a complete accident that she like happened with pearl dust.
Yeah. Jesse, what was your most engaging scene?
Do you think I have one? I mean, I liked the ending. But that's because I was reaching the end of the book. So. I don't have one. I genuinely don't.
All right, it's okay. All right. So, do we have a favorite character other than the main character, or a character you thought had a lot of potential that you kind of would love to know more about? Like, I really think that I would love to read this from the princess's point of view. Like, I think that would have, and like her relationship with her, was she called like her lady's maid or something?
Bodyguard.
That was her bodyguard.
Did they say the word bodyguard?
Yeah, and I mean, she was very bodyguard-like, and like, she was always like pulling out knives and threatening people.
I know, but like, I thought she called her something else. They did call her something like.
I think she called her lady's maid when she first saw her, but then it was like more revealed that like she was a protector of the princess, not just like.
Yeah. I just think I think they called her like a title, like that wasn't bodyguard. But anyway, yeah, I think their relationship was really compelling, and they should have been the center of the book.
Honestly, their relationship was better than like the romance that Ning had. Like,
I had high hopes for that romance, and nothing really came of it. And
honestly,
you know what?
I wonder.
Sorry, go ahead. No, you go.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I was wondering, like, had Ning actually been an apprentice rather than her sister, if I would have liked the story a little bit more. Because it would make more sense for her to like have that kind of like fighting power in the competition. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree with that. That's another solution for like, why does she think she's going to win this competition? Like, if she was actually the apprentice, and she maybe she still had her doubts of like, I don't know if I can win this, but this is my chance to do something. Like, I could buy that into that more than especially because like, she obviously has a natural talent. So.
You know what really kind of also annoyed me was that like this felt so forced to me. Like, she bonded with the love interest Beau, right? And like she found out through the tea that tells the truth that he knows that the emperor died, and he's like, don't tell anyone, like they're gonna want to kill you, blah blah blah. And then like the second she's in front of the princess, she's like, he told me that the emperor's dead. And then she's like, oh, I want you to learn more about him. She's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a spy, like I have to do it. Like it was just like, it just felt so out of place for what we just experienced between the two of them. Like she felt a genuine connection, and like also did all this tea to know that it was a genuine connection. And then she like was like, yeah, I'm gonna betray him for no apparent reason. Like she didn't have to say that.
Yeah,
And
she
then I was
felt
like, now we
very.
know exactly what's gonna happen. Like he's gonna find out that she was fucking spying.
Yeah, she was very wishy-washy on a lot of things. I like something like that where like she went back and forth on her feelings for him like so much that it was just like I could never tell like how she was going to react at any given time, because like it was so like he's a liar and a traitor, and then it was like, oh, but we have this connection and he was telling the truth under the
Yeah, it's like, you know, he's not lying.
and the thing is, I can understand the confusion to a certain degree, but if she could like just stick to like whatever like thought she had at a time, rather than like going back and forth based on seemingly nothing. Like it wasn't even like she got new information that changed her mind. It would just be like her thinking and being like this and this and then this and then going back and forth.
It went against like the core thing that she's good at the tea and that she knows what the tea does, and that she discerned that he's telling the truth. And then she completely was like learned one thing from the princess, and she's like, oh, he's a liar. Like, I mean, don't you know, because you did this magic and you know like what the tea leaves do? And
I mean, the thing is that him and the princess, they weren't even like in opposition, really.
Yeah,
they're cousins. Yeah, and like she suspected him and like wanted to know his true motives. Yeah. But there wasn't any like they didn't seem to be like really in opposition at all.
Yeah.
So like there was no reason for her to feel like so torn between them, because like from our perspective as the reader, it seemed like they're on the same side.
Yeah. So, like I just felt forced, like they kept someone, like one of the characters would inevitably be like, well, we can't trust him, though he still might have a plot, even though we don't think he does. Like he still might be trying to hurt you. It still might be a ploy, even though all signs point to no. Yeah. Well, what was this question again? Character that you think had potential that you would like to get to know better.
Yeah, I still the princess and her.
I know, princess as well. I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah, we're all in agreement there.
I have a question that has nothing to do with the book.
Yeah.
What's everybody's favorite tea?
Ooh. Well, mine used to be Irish breakfast, but now I can't really have tea because it hurts my throat. So my favorite tea is matcha.
Matcha.
I don't drink a lot of tea. I'm more of a coffee person. But I like black tea with a little bit of sugar. It has the most caffeine, so.
A normal English breakfast.
Nice.
I mean, I don't hate other teas. Like, I used to get the passion fruit tea from Starbucks all the time. That was real good. I like green tea as well. I'm just not a big tea drinker in general.
Good. I like chamomile. Have you ever heard?
I don't like that kind because it tastes flowery. You're a flower tea person.
I'm a flowery boy.
Flower boy.
Flower boy.
What was I just gonna say? Do you like the what's the kind that tastes like perfume? Earl Grey?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the kind that Natasha likes too.
Oh.
But yeah, so this is a random rant, but like in England, we got so excited because they don't have. I got a matcha at Starbucks, and I was like,
oh no!
I couldn't even like drink it.
Right.
It didn't taste like strong matcha. It didn't taste like anything at all that was matcha. But anyway, so Bubbleology was in Oxford. So it's so excited because it's like a boba place. And at boba places, they usually have, like the classic matcha and it's delicious with the milk tea. So I was so excited. We went in there and I got it. And like it was fine, but it was green tea. It was not matcha. It was like a green tea, milk tea, and I was so confused as to why they're calling it matcha because like it like was not matcha. It wasn't the matcha color, even though the color is on the poster, and it was green tea.
They're like, it's green. It's got to be matcha.
Yeah, it's matcha if it's green.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, it was funny. And the next day I got it again because it was like the closest thing.
Not you getting it again.
I was dreaming about it the next morning. I was like, I gotta get that green tea again at Bubbleology before we leave.
I cannot. That's so funny. You really said this is not matcha, but it's the best I can do.
But it's still good. Still drinkable.
Nice. Wait, did you get the actual boba pearls, or did you just have
I just get it without the boba.
Okay, I figured. Yeah.
I just drink around the boba when I get the boba. So.
Right.
Yeah. Do you like the boba in the boba? I guess
that's the best part.
That's the best part. You get a little snack, a little treat with it. Like, come on.
Yeah.
There's something about sucking up a big jelly ball. I'm not a big
Yeah. Not for everybody.
Not for everyone, but it's cool. I like the idea of it. It's cool.
Yeah.
Well, this has been, we're going to keep this short and sweet because it wasn't our cup of tea and we don't like, tearing into things in that negative way.
And see, the thing is, it's not even that it was a bad book. It was just disappointing.
Yeah.
Like I had such high expectations, just judging by the cover and the premise. So I was just a little let down that it didn't blow me away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we actually want to, before we leave, recommend a book that we would, recommend a book in this place? If you, since we didn't like this one,
I have one.
Recommend, with similar vibes.
Yeah. Well, okay. I kept thinking about how Mistborn has a similar magic and it's done way better. You ingest different metals and certain people can do it.
Yeah.
And it kept reminding me of that. But the system is so clear in Mistborn and obviously the plot is excellent. I haven't read, I feel like in England also I was talking to someone who had read a lot of fantasy and it made me realize that I haven't read that much fantasy because I've read only the YA bubble fantasy really. So I feel like I don't have as many recommendations in that vein, but it kept reminding me of Mistborn and I love Mistborn.
Yeah, I can see the Mistborn connection a little bit there. I don't have a lot of one-to-one sort of recommendations.
Right.
But if you want something that's very unique, I would recommend Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is a very as much as this has a very unique magic system with the tea and brewing, it's not at all the same, but just Laini Taylor's world building and magic systems are always really unique and
excellent
hard to put a one-to-one comparison to. I would also maybe say a little bit of the Atlas 6 and the competition element, and there's no,
I just don't think it compares. I think the Atlas 6 is such a character-driven story that it doesn't match.
I don't think it compares in that way, but in the way that you can atlas influence moods and read their minds, kind of. And in the Atlas 6, there's one character who can actually communicate with plants, and when Ning was doing that in this book, it was a little reminiscent of speaking to the plants kind of thing.
Yeah. On the topic of Laini Taylor, I think even Daughter of Smoke and Bone, that magic system is just so creative and different, and It's kind of like once you get to know it, you're like, holy shit, this is like so cool.
Yeah.
But it takes a bit of like learning the world for it to come together. And it does come together though. That's the difference here. This one didn't come together for me, which was like, you know, it leaves you with that like unsatisfactory taste.
Yeah.
Jesseth?
I just read a book called The Nature of Witches, actually. And
Oh, I know that book.
have you read it?
No, it came out on the same day as my book, so I know.
Oh, did it really? Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. But it's about this like witch whose magic is affected by like the different seasons, and it's just really good. I really enjoyed it, and it's got a really good romance in it. Actually, I will say
I've
that.
heard really good things about it.
Yeah.
I always have like I want to read all the books that come out on the same day as my book, but like there were a million that came out on June 1st of 2021.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep.
Right.
Hey guys. Well,
That cat's still
okay.
looking.
So
I'm
let's-
trying to think. It's hard to find comparisons.
yeah.
So next month we are reading "Defend the Dawn" by BRIGID KEMMERER. Damn it,
Kemmerer.
Kemmerer. There we go. Yes, BRIGID KEMMERER. There it is. I'm going to unbox mine after this. It's been waiting to be unboxed. Check my Instagram for the unboxing. And then in November, we are reading Adam Silvera's The First to Die at the End. We're very excited for both books. We've already read the first book of both worlds, and they were fantastic. So we know we're going to enjoy the next one. They both have fantastic characters, and they're very character driven, which it makes it really easy to slip into whatever world you're slipping into. Thank you all for joining us today. We really appreciate you being here with us. And we will see you next month for Defend the Dawn.
Yeah.
I'm Christine.
Bye, everybody.
I'm Kat.
I'm Jesse.
Bye.
Bye.